Katanchana smrite yasmin dushkaram sukaram bhavet vismrute vipritam syat Sri Chaitanya Yonta pravishya mama vachamimam prasuttan sanjeevayata kila shakti dhara swadhamna अन्यांश्च हस्तचरण श्रवणात्वगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्। Hare Krishna, welcome back to our discussions on Srimad Bhagavatam. We have completed the 28 verses of the third chapter of the first canto. 29th verse we have completed. Today we'll begin with the 30th verse. So the story so far is that the 6 questions are being answered by Sutta Goswami. The 6 questions are asked by Shaunaka Rishi. And now, while answering the questions, Sutta Goswami has explained about the various incarnations of Krishna. Having explained all the incarnations, then he spoke about how Krishna is the source of all these incarnations. This was the most famous 1.3.28. Did anyone memorize this verse? Anyone else? I had told everyone to memorize. Yes, Prabhu, Rajan Padir. You can lead all of us. We will respond with you. Ete chamsa kala punsa. Bhagavan Swayam. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Indriyari Vyakulam Lokam. Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. Yes, so this is a verse which is called as the Paribhasha Sutra or the Emperor verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And we spent 3 classes only on discussing this shloka. And having discussed this verse in great detail, then we concluded in the next verse, which is the 29th verse, where Sutta Goswami explains very clearly that we chanted this verse also last time, where Sutta Goswami says that whoever carefully recites all these incarnations, he will get relief from all miseries of life. So this is where we ended last time. So I'm just giving this background so that we can now continue. Basically, he has given us the Falastuti. And if you read this verse, Emperor verse, if you understand about Krishna's incarnations, then this is the reward you will get. You will get relief from the sufferings and miseries of life. All of you agree there is a lot of miseries in life? When I do youth preaching, people don't agree. But when I do congregation preaching, everybody agrees. I don't like to give this example in a cultured society, but to the boys, just to shake them, while doing youth preaching, I have to give a very graphic example just to make them understand. Because youth like very graphic things, grows. So I have to tell them that life only gives you SHIT. Like life gives you all this muck crap. It gives you in. So we think, life is like like you go to Govinda's restaurant, you get pizzas, pasta, dosas. But life doesn't give you pizza and pasta. Life gives you what you give back to the world early morning after you have eaten pizzas. So that's what life gives us. No one is spared. Everybody gets that. So you have a choice now. The only thing that can, the only choice we have is what flavor we want. What we want as toppings. Some people prefer jalapeno, some people prefer strawberries, some people prefer blueberries, some dhania patta dalo thoda. That's all. So when people complain about life, they say I'm suffering. I ask them, are you complaining about the SHIT or are you complaining about the toppings? So if they say I'm complaining about the thing, then I say, but everybody is getting it. And if they say I'm complaining about the topping, then I say, well, what difference will it make? Because ultimately you have to get that only. Main course is that. So that's life for you. So you can't complain. But when we read about Krishna, Bhagavatam assures, especially in this 28th and 29th verse, that we'll get relief from suffering. We get peace and happiness. So this is a Falastuti. But when somebody who is a serious student of Bhagavatam, when he's studying this, he will get a question that, well, but this list doesn't mention. I'm sorry, this chair is making a lot of sound. Just take another. You take this chair. This is better, you know. So somebody may say this is great, but serious student will observe that Virat Rupa is not mentioned. There is a very famous Krishna's appearance explained in the 11th chapter of Gita, where Krishna shows the entire universal form, where the mountains, trees, everything is coming from Krishna. Krishna shows a gigantic universal form, and that is not mentioned in this list of incarnations. So a person may say, what about that? So now, from this text number 30 onwards, Krishna is going to explain very systematically why this universal form is not mentioned as one of the incarnations of Krishna. Although one entire chapter in the Gita is dedicated to this universal form. In fact, the Bhagavatam also mentions in detail about the universal form in the second canto. We'll read. But why this is not the main incarnation of Krishna? So that we will discuss now. Text number 30 onwards. So, you have access to the shloka, then we can read, one of you can read translation, after which you have access. No? So from verse 30 to 34, we will discuss this, these 5 verses. So all of you please pay attention. Text number 30, you can please repeat after me. Etad rupam bhagavato arupasya chidatmana Maya guner virachitam mahadadi viratmani.
The conception of Virat universal form of the Lord as appearing in the material world is imaginary. It is to enable the less intelligent, the neophytes, to adjust to the idea of the Lord's having form. But factually, the Lord has no material form.
So very clearly, Sutta Goswami says, this Virata Rupa, which is actually imaginary, doesn't exist. It is imaginary. Now, there are neophytes or less intelligent people, they cannot accept that God has a beautiful transcendental form. They find it very repulsive. How can God have a form? They think we have a body which is material and which is full of suffering. So God also must be. Okay, when we say God has a body and a God has a form, that means we are trying to ascribe a material body to him. So he can't have a material form. So to help such people understand, because they can't accept the spiritual form of the Lord. So we get a chance. If you are at that level, we get a chance to imagine his universe as the Lord's form. For their benefit, this has been displayed by the Lord time to time. So, this Virata Rupa is not included in the list of avatars. Please understand. Why? Because it is a superimposed form on the neophytes or those who are less intelligent. Because they can't perceive a form of the Lord, this form is superimposed. Okay, you understand. When you see the mountains, see that as God. When you see ocean, see that as God. This material world, Bhagavad Gita explains, Bhagavatam also says, is Lord's external energy. See, Lord has internal energy and external energy. For the external energy, Bhumir, Apo, Nalo, Vayu, Kham, Mana, Buddhi, Ahankara, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, these are all external elements of external things coming from the Lord. Now, because this is coming from the Lord, we consider that also as God. Those who are less intelligent. They say, okay, this is only God. And when they see that, it is easy to imagine that as God for those who can't accept Krishna. Because, for neophytes, less intelligent people means they cannot conceive of anything beyond matter. For them, matter is everything. For such people, then how can they see God? See God in matter only then. Like that. And for them, see something gigantic, see something wonderful like mountains, trees, oceans. Oh, okay, this is God. So they are happy. Like that. So that is why you'll see many so-called spiritualists, they talk about nature as God. Because they cannot conceive of a spiritual form. So this is the way explanation is given. So less intelligent people, they see universe as God, and just as one imagines. It is actually imagination, but it is allowed imagination. It is bona fide imagination, and it is needed for those who cannot accept God as a person. If you can't accept God as a person, okay, then you can imagine God as mountain, tree, whatever. Can imagine God as nature. Is it okay? Now, Sutta Goswami, yes.
Can I ask now or later?
Can ask. I will not answer, but
Then later.
no, I don't know. I may not answer. I'm saying I may not answer.
When it is mentioned Virat, universal form of Lord, that is the Virat root. So when what Arjuna saw, was that also imaginary or was it real?
So Arjuna saw really in front of him what Krishna was displaying, but it is, see, even Paramatma, if you see, Paramatma is real in one sense, because the material world we are there. But when you go to spiritual world, Paramatma is not there.
Okay, yeah.
So for Arjuna, Arjuna saw what Krishna showed Arjuna. But Krishna was right in front of him. So it is Krishna's display of opulence.
Because he mentioned also, I don't want to see you in this
Yeah.
form also, I want to see you in normal
Yes.
two-handed form.
For a pure devotee, nothing except this matters. But Krishna showed him. See, Krishna will show. See, Krishna showed Arjuna the universal form, but Krishna also showed himself. See, Krishna, how did Krishna show universal form to Arjuna? Krishna showed his own form, huge form, and from him all the things are emanating, all the soldiers are going in.
Yeah.
That is a display of universal form.
Yeah.
When you and I, if you are not devotees, we are not going to see Krishna the person. We are going to see the mountains, fire, death.
Okay. So material.
We are going to see the only material energy. But Arjuna saw Krishna, and he saw from Krishna thousands of things coming out. He saw Krishna's mouth wide open, and he saw all the enemy soldiers entering his mouth and all their skulls getting crushed between the teeth of Krishna. So when the person of this world sees the universal form, he does not see Krishna crushing all that. He doesn't see Krishna's form. So in that sense, what we are seeing is not same as what Arjuna has saw. But still, that universal form, the awe and wonder that we see in the universe, that is imaginary. That is not the form of Lord. That may be real and temporary, but that is not Krishna. It is not Krishna. It is Krishna's external energy. It is Krishna, but different from Krishna. It is same as Krishna, but different from Krishna. Just like, just like a mother, her son or child or daughter goes to the hostel to study somewhere, and she has left behind her clothes or her favorite things at home. So when the mother sees those things, the mother says she remembers her daughter. So those things are, in one sense, they belong to the daughter, but it's not the daughter's. It is not similar to her child, but it is, because it is reminding her of the child, it is, in one sense, a separated energy of her child. Like when we go to the college, we see on the notice board, the notice put by the principal of the college. That notice is not different from the principal, but it's not the principal. Similarly, the material world is Krishna only, because there is Krishna's stamp in it. But we are not able to see Krishna. A 500 rupee note, if that has Gandhi's photo on it. So when you see the 500 rupee note, you don't say, oh, Gandhiji, wow. You don't. you just see the note. Okay, the purchasing power capacity of that note is what you see.
And the amount written on it.
Amount written on it. 500 rupees, 1000 rupees. You're not looking at that note to say, oh, Gandhiji is there. Let me offer Dandavat to Gandhiji. No. You are seeing what this note can give. Similarly, just like Gandhiji's photo is stamped in every 500 rupee note, in everything of this creation, Krishna is stamped. But we don't see Krishna. We see just what I can get from this, how I can enjoy from this, what I can enjoy. That is why, because there is always enjoyment consciousness. So Krishna is telling us, usme Gandhiji ka photo hai, dekho. Usme Krishna hai, Krishna. So see divinity there. That is why, many nowadays, our Sadguru is promoting all, save the soil. And United Nations is talking about environmental or environment. Why? Because divinity is being mentioned. Modi is also talking about it. Everybody is talking about protecting soil, river, and see that as God, see that as divine, so that you will save it. And Vedic scriptures mention in great detail how this is divine, how this is Lord. Every river has got a feminine divinity. Only one river has got male connotation, Brahmaputra. But all other rivers are feminine. So basically, divinity, sacredness is mentioned of nature, and Vedic culture especially teaches us that. Mother Earth is called as mother. Like when I go for my walk, I go to this garden. What I do is deliberately for 20-25 minutes, I remove my shoes and I walk bare feet on the grass. And that's a different experience, when you touch Mother Earth, because we're not used to touching earth. We are touching cement, marble floor all the time. And we live not in, we live in a building, apartment. We don't live in, if you ask a child to make a drawing of house, any child will make a drawing with a house and garden and trees. But all those children, they live in a building. But that means it's natural for us when we think of a house to live on the earth. And that keeps us grounded. But because we live in skyrise, our feet is not touching Mother Earth, and people are going crazy. we are not mentally stable, our generation, because we are not living a natural life. So we are disconnected from nature. So nature is divine, nature is God. So universal form, but there is more than that. So those who cannot accept, for them universal form is the only form. Arjuna could accept more than that. That is, Arjuna himself said that I can't see this form. I don't even want to see your four-handed form. So it is imaginary in the sense, it is not Krishna. And you can't say it is Krishna. That is why it is imaginary. But that per se exists as an external energy of Krishna. Is that okay? So to explain this, Suta Goswami is saying that this is not real and people cannot understand. He gives two analogies in the next verse. We will chant the next shloka, that will make it clear. Text number 31. Please repeat. Yata nabasi meghaugo Renurva parthivo nile Evam drashtari drishyatvam Aropitam abuddhibhi.
Clouds and dust are carried by the air, but less intelligent person says that the sky is cloudy and the air is dirty. Similarly, they also implant material bodily conceptions on the spirit self.
So two examples he gives. See, unintelligent people, they see what is visible. They cannot perceive what is not visible. See, in intelligent people, when you are talking with them, they can read between the lines. They can hear what is not said. They can see what is not spoken. But those who are dumb, they go only by the literal. All right. So similarly, unintelligent people, they cannot see anything beyond what is visible. And what is visible for them? This universe. Oh, this universe is God, because I can only see this universe. Now, here, two examples are given here to explain. See, we see clouds in the sky. So when there are too many clouds in the sky, what do we say? We say the sky is cloudy. So now here it is interesting. The sky and the cloud, they are different. Sky and clouds are not same. But when we see too many clouds only, we merge the identity of the clouds with the sky, and we say that the sky is cloudy. We can't see that they are different. Do you get this? Similarly, we say that this universe is God. Actually, universe is different, God is different. Krishna is different, universe is different. But we see the universe so much like the clouds all the time. Similarly, we see the universe so much that we say universe is God. So this is one example, one analogy Suta Goswami is giving. Is that okay? The second analogy is giving here is the air is dirty. Sometimes, dust, we know that the dust is different from wind. But when there is so much dust going on, then we say the wind is very dusty, air is dirty. Similarly, we say universe is God, because we see only the universe everywhere. We see only what is visible. I hope this is clear. So this is the way he explains. See, many times, many of us, for us, the grandeur of this world is what makes us attracted to world. Like people go to Niagara Falls, they go to, huge lakes, rivers. Wow, that wow experience. For them, that is God. Like I was in Mayapur some years ago. I had to stay there for 2 weeks. I had gone with some family relatives. So I booked one auto wala. And I told him, you come every day, morning, evening, afternoon, for taking my elderly relatives. So this I made friends with him, the local man from Mayapur. And while conversing with him, I realized he's a great fan of Shah Rukh Khan. Young boy, and he knew everything about him. He knew more about him than I knew about Krishna. He knew his date of birth, everything. So many clothes he has, his children's name, this, his building's name, his date of birth, his children's date of birth, when he got married. Oh, wow, so many things. And I was only hearing him because I was fascinated. What all people can do about, how much we can try to find out about people of this world. I'm not a fan of Shah Rukh Khan, but I was curious to know from him that how can somebody love another fallible human being so much? So I was asking him, and then he said something interesting, which convinced me about the universal form concept. He was so attached to this actor that to see him, he came to Bombay, and he's a poor man. He's working in Mayapur as a rickshaw. And he came and he said, I went to his house. There's a big house where he stays somewhere. And there you can't enter. So near that house, there is one restaurant. So there they charge money so that you can stand there and wait till that actor comes in the balcony and waves at you. So he paid that money and stood in that for some 7-8 hours. And Shah Rukh Khan did not come in the balcony. He was waiting, like we wait for Tirupati Balaji Darshan. So he was waiting. So he didn't come. So he said, Prabhuji, next day was my train back to Kolkata. I cancelled that because I was hoping he will come. So 3 or 4 days he waited. And then finally one day, I think one of those days he came for 5 minutes to the balcony and he waved at all the fans and he went in. He said, Mera Jeevan Safal ho gaya. And then he said something interesting. He said, I cancelled my ticket twice because I was thinking that, I couldn't meet him. But if I probably third time I would not have cancelled, I would have come back. And I was happy because I saw his bungalow. For me, that was enough. See, he was such a great fan that for him, the bungalow was, that energy of the person was so attractive. And I was thinking, if I was so devoted to Krishna, I would see this world also as an energy of Krishna. But I am not so attached to Krishna like he is attached to that actor. And I was thinking that, I need to learn from this fellow. That we want to know more about Krishna. For those who are sincere devotees, they will appreciate Krishna in this world also. Although we have a relationship with Krishna, the person, but Krishna's material energy is also amazing. So there are so many amazing bhaktas in this world of material things, actresses, sports stars, these rock music and musicians, singers, and they are attracted by that opulence which these people have, singing, acting. So all these opulences, Krishna says in the Gita, are coming from me. Prabhupada would often say, if this world is beautiful painting, if the painting is so beautiful, imagine how the painter would be, how Krishna would be, Prabhupada would tell. So we are not against those who worship the universal form. We are not against those who only see God in the universe. We are just appealing to them that go beyond and understand that this bungalow is not everything. Bungalow ka owner bahut acha hai. But many people don't have the patience to wait for 3 days, 4 days. You may have to wait for 30 years. Hare Krishna chanting. Krishna will come sometime in the balcony and give his darshan. We are chanting and Krishna will come on the tongue and say, Prabhu, I am here. We are waiting for Krishna to embrace us and we are getting tired of waiting. And we want to book our ticket back to material world. We don't want to wait for Krishna. But if we have patience and if we chant, then Krishna will also come and wait. And till then, till Krishna comes and reveals to us, we keep chanting Hare Krishna and we also acknowledge, appreciate with gratitude Krishna's bungalow, Krishna's material world. Krishna, thank you, Krishna, thank you. Because sometimes people say, Prabhuji, you say be grateful to Krishna always, and you also saying this material world is full of SHIT. You say it is all bad. How do you understand this? I tell them simple. This world is, we have to only be grateful. But when you are very grateful and out of that gratitude, you start expecting from Krishna, then we remind you that this is SHIT. Otherwise, Krishna is giving us a lot of gifts. We have to be grateful. Anyway, so basically, we have to just be humble, do our seva, chant Hare Krishna, and wait for Krishna to reveal itself. So now we'll chant the remaining verses of this section. Text number 32. Please respond. Atah param yad avyaktam avyuda guna brahmitam adrishta shruta vastutvat sajivo yat punarbhava.
Beyond this gross conception of form is another subtle conception of form which is without formal shape and is unseen, unheard, and unmanifest. The living being has his form beyond this subtlety, otherwise, he could not have repeated birth.
So, we are not this temporary body. We are not what we see in this universe. There is subtle elements. So, Sutta Goswami is appealing to us to go deeper. And text 33 elaborates on this. Yatre me sadasadrupe prati siddhe swasamvida avidyayatmani krite iti tad brahma darshanam.
Whenever a person experiences by self-realization that both gross and subtle bodies have nothing to do with pure self, at that time he sees himself as well as the Lord.
Yeah. Text 34. Yadi esho parata devi maya vaisharadi mati sampanna eveti vidur mahimni swe mahiyate.
If the illusory energy subsides and the living entity becomes fully enriched with the knowledge by the grace of the Lord, then he becomes at once enlightened with self-realization and thus becomes situated in his own glory.
So basically in these verses it is very clear that if you want to understand, if unintelligent people cannot understand God as a form, God as a person, but we can understand only by the grace of Lord. That is what is mentioned in these verses. So somebody may say, okay, learned man, okay, you are an intelligent man, so then you can, so basically if you are unintelligent you cannot understand, and you can understand only if God's grace is there. So this God's grace upon devotees only will help us understand the Lord, and that is explained in that concept is explained more in the next verse. Text 35. Evam janmani karmani yakartur ajanasya cha varnayanti sma kavayo veda guhyani ritpate.
Thus, learned men describe the births and activities of the unborn and inactive, which is undiscoverable even in the Vedic literatures. He is the Lord of the heart.
Basically, in the association of devotees, and when we hear from devotees, then we can understand the Lord. That is what is mentioned in this. Vedesha durlabham adurlabham atma bhakto. Even just simply studying Vedas, you cannot know. We have to hear from devotees of experienced Krishna. See, there are three ways of reading scriptures, Bhagavatam or any scripture. One is literal reading. Like you read Mahabharata, Ramayana, okay, this is a story, Ram, Sita, Ravana kidnapped Sita. This is all literally reading and then speaking, hearing. Like Ramanand Sagar's Ramayana was coming. It is all literally they presented as it is. But there is another way of reading Ramayana or scripture, that is ethical or moral. First is literal or historical. Literal or historical means there is no emotion attached. There is no divinity, nothing. Only facts and story. एक अच्छा स्टोरी सुनना है प्रभु जी, स्टोरी सुनाओ, रामायण सुन लो, कुछ हिस्ट्री बताओ, महाभारत बताए. But second is ethical or moral, where we read some story, then we give lessons from it, how we can apply it in our life. That is another way of reading the scriptures. Ethical, moral. You know, some people, when they're expert in this, they will say Pandavas means 5 senses, 5 brothers. Kurukshetra means heart, mind, battlefield, like that. They will give, and it sounds very attractive. They'll always give ethical, moral side to the story. So Ravana is like this, Ram is like this. So all that analogy, Lakshman represents Guru. So we should follow Guru's order. He put Lakshman Rekha. So like Sita, we should not be bewildered. All those things they explain. It's not very attractive. So they give ethical and moral dimension to the story. So they read scriptures or they speak from scriptures from that angle. So what are the three ways? One is historical or literal. Second is moral or ethical. Third is transcendental or divine, where we read with prayerful mood. Oh Lord, please reveal to me what is best for me. And then we hear, allowing the Lord to enter our heart and purify our heart and reveal to us love for the Lord. Only when we approach the scriptures in that mood, that I want to hear today for my purification and I want to know about the Lord, then the Bhagavatam is revealed. Is that clear? So this is what is mentioned, hearing from devotees. And now text number 36 is very beautiful. We'll chant this. Sava idam vishvamamo galila.
Sava idam vishvamo galila.
Srajat avat attina sajjatesmin.
Srajat yavatti attina sajjatesmin.
Bhuteshu chantarita atmatantra.
Bhuteshu chantarita atmatantra.
Sadvargikam jigrati sargunesha.
Sadvargikam jigrati sargunesha. The Lord, whose activities are always spotless, is the master of the six senses and is fully omnipotent with six opulences. He creates the manifested universes, maintains them and annihilates them without being in the least affected. He is within every living being and is always in it.
So Krishna is the best. Krishna is in the heart of everyone. Krishna is doing everything, but everybody cannot understand. And text number 37 explains it more emphatically. Please chant this. Nachasya kaschin nipunena dhatu.
Nachasya kaschin nipunena dhatu.
Aveti jantu kumanisha uti.
Aveti jantu kumanisha uti.
Namani rupani mano vachobhi.
Namani rupani mano vachobhi.
Santan vato natacharyam ivagya.
Santan vato natacharyam ivagya. The foolish, with poor fund of knowledge, cannot know the transcendental nature of the forms, names, and activities of the Lord, who is playing like an actor in a drama. Nor can they express such things neither in their speculations nor in their words.
So it is very clear that unintelligent cannot understand the Lord in these last three verses. So then now comes the final verse where it will be explained then who can understand the Lord, who is the most powerful. That is explained in text number 38. So please repeat after me. Save dadatu padavim parasya.
Save dadatu padavim parasya.
Duranta viryasya ratanga pane.
Duranta viryasya ratanga pane.
Yo mayaya santataya nuvritya.
Yo mayaya santataya nuvritya.
Bhaje tatat pada saroja gandham.
Bhaje tatat pada saroja gandham. Only those who render unreserved, uninterrupted, favorable services unto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, who carries the wheel of the chariot in his hand, can know the creator of the universe in his full glory, power, and triumph.
So very clear. Sutta Goswami says if you have bhakti yoga, if you practice bhakti, you can understand Krishna completely. So those sages who are hearing this class from Sutta Goswami, they may think, oh, but we don't have bhakti. That means we will not be able to see Krishna. Like many of you, devotees also say, oh, Prabhuji. So to encourage them, in the next shloka, he tells something interesting. We'll chant that verse. So Sutta Goswami encourages them, no, you are also bhakta only. So I'm also encouraging you, you are all devotee only. Don't. Ate hadanya bhagavanta ittam. Yad vasudeve kila lokanate. Kurvanti sarvatmakam bhavam. Na yatra bhuya parivarta ugra.
Only by making such inquiries in this world can one be successful and perfectly cognizant. For such inquiries invoke transcendental ecstatic love unto the personality of God, who is the proprietor of all the universes, and guaranteeing 100% immunity from the dreadful reputation of birth.
So you are most fortunate, all of you, because you're making inquiries. The fact that you're coming for these classes means you want to know about Krishna. So you are devotees, according to Sutta Goswami. Because Srila Naimisharanya were also feeling unqualified. We reassured them that you're not unintelligent, you're not unqualified, because you want to hear about Krishna. So if we have this desire to hear about Krishna, we will also become qualified to understand and perceive Krishna's presence in our life. So we will be able to awaken our love for Krishna when we hear about Krishna. So for some of you who haven't brought Bhagavatam today, I have just a suggestion. You can try to have that Bhagavatam on your mobile phone. It's possible. So if you chant the verses, even if you don't understand Bhagavatam, just listening to the sound, when we are reading the verses, if you can respond. So when you are chanting those verses, you are actually connecting with Krishna. Because this shloka is not different from Krishna. When Krishna comes in the form of a book, he's called Bhagavatam. So when you are chanting the verses as, in response, when you're repeating the verses, you are actually connecting with Krishna. And when you're chanting different meters, different tunes, and when you listen and then you chant, your heart is joining with Krishna. And you will experience Krishna's presence. And then many times I've seen devotees, they have a lot of disturbing issues, problems. And after some years, they realize that, I don't have answers to my questions and problems in life. But somehow I find peace of heart when I come for Bhagavatam class. Peace of mind may not be there, but peace of heart is there. Mind may keep getting disturbed. Every day, mind has different issues, different problems. But there is something that is consistently peaceful in the heart. There is something consistently that gives us, solace. And that happens when we chant verses. Like I know some Brahma devotees in our temple, including myself, we have a quota. Every day, other than our chanting and Bhagavatam, we chant few verses, shlokas from Bhagavatam. Like I go for my walk, so I have not much, just 50 verses. No, it is not. It's not that. No. In the sense, it doesn't take more than 10 minutes. If you're walking anyway, you have memorized it, and you just like this verse, ete chamsa kala pumsa. Some of you memorized it, right? So if you're walking, I keep counting. Ete chamsa kala pumsa Krishna su Bhagavan Srindrari Vakulam Lokam Hridayanti. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if you chant in 10, 15 minutes of walking, you would have chanted 50 to 100 verses. So like every week, some of us memorize 2 shlokas or 1 shloka. We keep chanting it every day for a few times. End of the week, the shloka is memorized. And also you are connecting with the Lord. And you feel peace. See, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. There is no logic here. Because you are connecting with the Lord, the sound, the potency of the sound is felt by the chanter. Otherwise, how do you explain? I know so many American devotees, American and European devotees, they have memorized so many verses. And they don't even know Hindi, Sanskrit. At least for us, when I'm memorizing verses, many times I make up my own translation. Because the words, last 2 days, I'm memorizing one verse on Pandavas. But I can understand the meaning of the word because of the language, because of the culture, Like there is one verse, Darshana, Sparsha, Samlapa, Shayanasana, Bhojana. It was easy for me to memorize because Darshana, I know what is Darshan. Sparsha, I know what is touch. So Pandavas used to see Krishna, they used to touch Krishna. Samlapa, they used to talk with Krishna. Shayanasana, they used to sleep with Krishna. Asana, they used to sit with Krishna. Bhojana, they used to take food with Krishna. It becomes easy to remember for us. For those who are not from India, for them they don't even know the meaning, but still they memorize. I know one devotee in Vrindavan is staying now. He has memorized so many verses, thousands of verses on such far out verses, Tulsi Maharani's glories, so many different shlokas. There is one sannyasi in ISKCON called Prahlad Ananda Swami Maharaj. He is ISKCON sannyas minister. He is in charge of the sannyasis. He has memorized the whole Krishna book. So sometimes the light is off and he used to read for the devotees when the prasadam time. Light gets off, he keeps reading because he doesn't need the book. And he speaks only shlokas in his class. So when he gives class, he used to come to our Chavadi temple and he used to give class. We were young brahmacharis that time. We used to have fun. We used to say, chalo, aaj ka score dekhte hain kitna. Because we used to count how many shlokas he quotes. 77 ho gaya, abhi century hoga, abhi 95 ho gaya, 97, 100, very more. We used to secretly count. And he quotes at least 100 shlokas in his class, minimum. After every line, he has one shloka. He's from America, but last 40 years, his devotee just loves Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. When His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj was giving a class, the day after Prahladanand Maharaj gave, he said, what I can speak, Prahlad Maharaj spoke yesterday. It's a beautiful class. He has come from Shloka Loka. He has come from a world of Shloka. So if you may not memorize, you don't have to memorize the shloka. In fact, if you know the translation also, it is sufficient. But that word sound also has potency, because that sound is coming from the spiritual world. Now, when we were young boys, now of course Modi has started Make in India project. Earlier, imported products were very good. Anything imported, anything coming from England, America, wow, Japan, Japanese electronic good, wow, imported. So this sound, Bhagavatam sound, or when the pure devotee is chanting Hare Krishna, giving class, that sound that you hear, that sound is not created in this world. That sound is imported from the spiritual world. So when we connect to that sound, we get that same benefit of the spiritual benefit that that sound carries. That is why it is important that we chant verses, we chant prayers, we chant Hare Krishna. So Bhakti Yoga, chanting is given a lot of importance. It's not a process of silent meditation. Now, if you can sit silently like this, it is also needed. I also do that. But then the mind will go everywhere. Mind is never silent. So mind ko silent rehne ke bajaye, feed the mind with spiritual sound, like that. So you can try this. So in this section which we read today, from text number 30, 29, 32, 39, the whole idea is to see God in our daily life. That is universal form, means to see God, in our day-to-day life. That is the essence of this section. Like in the Bhagavatam, you will find 7th canto, later on we'll one day hopefully reach that stage. Prahlad Maharaj is offering prayers. He says, my dear Lord, you come in various incarnations. He says, one of the things he says, you incarnate in vegetables also. He says like that. So imagine Krishna incarnates in vegetables also. Means tomorrow they're going to make bhopla and dudhi. Krishna can come in bhopla also. Like, Krishna comes in this sacred trees, like people tree, the banyan tree, fig tree. People tree is Vishnuvas. The Bhargat ka ped, that banyan tree, that is Shivavas. So there's a lot of sacred divinity there. People tree, banyan tree, ke paas aap baithoge na, you feel Buddha got enlightenment under people tree. Bodhisattva. I know our one very senior leader in our temple. I've seen him sometimes in hanging garden, circumambulating people tree, banyan tree, sitting under that tree. And I confronted him one day. I said, "Idhar kya karte ho?" Then he quoted one very senior leader in ISKCON, one sannyasi. Whenever he sees a banyan tree or a people tree, offers dandavat. He knows that in the people tree, Lord Vishnu is staying. In the banyan tree, Lord Shiva is staying. So this is the we don't worship them as everything. We respect them as an energy of Krishna and Krishna's representation in this world, but we also accept Krishna as a person. We are not fanatic. We are not the one. See, one extreme is they don't want Krishna. People don't want Krishna. We are not like that. We want Krishna also. See, sometimes they would be on the other end. Only Krishna. They will not appreciate anything of this world. We don't want to be extreme. We love Krishna as a person, and we also accept these things, just like a mother will love her child's favorite things because it belongs to her child. Similarly, we respect this creation also, and we honor. So basically, scriptures teach us to respect and see God in various aspects of nature. See, I've given this example earlier also. See, God has three aspects to understand God. One is the formless aspect, Brahman. The second is the Lord in the heart, called Paramatma. And then there is a personal aspect, like the sun. Sun in the afternoon, the sun can be in the room here in the form of sunshine. But sunshine is not sun, but it is sun. That is one way of seeing sun, through the sunshine. The second way of seeing the sun is, take a telescope and see the layers or the surface of the sun. And the third is you actually go to the sun planet and you are on the sun. Similarly, there are three ways of realizing God. One is seeing God in this world. Second is seeing God in the heart. God is directing us, God is instructing me. And third is seeing him in his personal form. So when you have the personal understanding of God, then you have complete understanding of God. Like train, in a village, nobody had ever seen train. And they announced that today train is coming, train is coming. So few villagers went on the edge of the village and they saw when the train was coming from far, they heard sound and they saw smoke. So one villager said, I've seen the train, I've seen the train. What he had actually seen was he had only heard the sound and seen the smoke. And he went back saying that I've seen the train. So has he experienced train? Yes, but incomplete. The second fellow waited. He saw the train coming close and he saw the train stop. He said, oh, no, I have seen the train now because I saw the sound, I heard the sound and I saw the smoke, but I see that it has 12 coaches, it has windows and doors also. And he went back saying that I have seen the train. Now, has he actually experienced the train? Yes and no, because he has got little more understanding than the first person. But the third person has the most complete understanding, who actually entered the train and he saw that, oh, there is bathroom, there is fan, there is, he sat in the seat and he understood the more complete understanding of the train. Similarly, many of us, we don't understand this. People worship the universal form. They understand God only in one aspect. More advanced people, they have more understanding, Paramatma realization of God. They're able to connect to the Lord in the heart. And still higher are those who see God as a person. So we, sometimes we become proud saying that we are Hare Krishna, we are Krishna the person. So in our great enthusiasm to connect to Krishna the person, we reject the lower, the Brahman and Paramatma aspect. That is foolish. And there are people who are happy with their Brahman and Paramatma realization. They don't want to understand and appreciate Krishna the person. Both are incomplete. Like, it is like gulab jamun. For example, if somebody has never tasted gulab jamun, all of you have tasted? Anybody doesn't know what is gulab jamun? So gulab jamun, when it is served hot, it is even tasty. And it is cooked nicely. It is thick. It has this brownish texture. It is warm, soft. So somebody has never heard or seen gulab jamun and is told, you come to our house today, we're going to serve you gulab jamun. We are cooking gulab jamun now. So he comes to the kitchen. Oh, this is very, very fragrant. So yes, his understanding of gulab jamun is compared to Brahman realization. He has not experienced Krishna, he has not experienced gulab jamun, but he has smelled gulab jamun. But the second person, he says, let me wait. So the first person has smelled the gulab jamun and he has gone back to the hall. The second person touches it. Oh, it is soft. It is hot. And he sees it. He has got, and he smelt it anyway because he's so close to the gulab jamun. So he has got more understanding than the first person. But he has not experienced gulab jamun completely. His understanding is like Paramatma realization. More than the Brahman realization, but still incomplete. The third fellow waits. After that gulab jamun is offered to Krishna, it is prasad. Then he takes it and when he puts it on the tongue, he's got complete understanding of gulab jamun. It is Bhagavan realization. And when somebody has tasted gulab jamun, then he has touched it also and he has smelt it also. Tino ho gaya. So we have Bhagavan realization in Krishna consciousness, right? We have Krishna the person. So we have chance of connecting with all the Brahman, Paramatma, all aspects. That means we should be able to appreciate Krishna in nature also. But we become so fanatic, we become like that person who says, no, I want to only taste gulab jamun, that when he sees gulab jamun, he closes his nose. He says, I don't want to smell gulab. Because that is lower realization. I don't want to touch gulab jamun. He just puts his mouth and tastes it. He doesn't want to touch, doesn't want to feel, doesn't want to smell. He's a fool. We'll say, yaar, pura relish karo. Have the complete gulab jamun experience. Isn't it? So if you want to have complete Krishna experience, then you should be able to relish Krishna in nature also. How can you be so fanatic and say, no, Krishna is not in, it's all Maya, everything is Maya, only Krishna, only deities, I will only see Krishna. And you can't exploit nature. You have to see Krishna just like a person who's a connoisseur of gulab jamun will appreciate everything of the texture of gulab jamun as well as the fragrance of gulab jamun. Similarly, somebody who loves Krishna will appreciate Krishna in nature also. So therefore, we can't be fanatics. And that is why Krishna in the 7th chapter and 10th chapter of Gita teaches us how to see him in nature, how to see him in the grandeur of this world. Because many times we can't appreciate Krishna. Like some villager, some old woman in some village, she has never heard the name of, say, Mukesh Ambani. And then she's shown a photo of Mukesh Ambani. She'll say, who is he? I don't care. But then if you start telling him, he has this big house in South Bombay, he's got so many companies, he's got so many thousands and thousands of crores of rupees, and he has his own base, he has so many servants. So when you start telling all his opulences, then this lady says, wow. Then she sees the same fellow's photo, she has a different understanding of him. So many of us, we don't really appreciate Krishna so much. So in the 7th chapter, Krishna starts saying about his opulences. In the 10th chapter, it tells us about his opulences. So that when we read, hear all of that, then we say, oh, this is Krishna. Okay, then our appreciation for Krishna increases. Therefore, it is important to see, that's what Krishna says in the 7th chapter of Gita, Rasoam apshu kaunteya. Oh, when you are very thirsty and you want what? Have you experienced thirst sometimes? So much thirst that you don't want, you can't be satisfied with mango juice or Sprite. You only want water. Have you experienced thirst like that? You don't want Sprite, you don't want a cold drink, you want only water. And that what Krishna says in the Gita, Rasoham apshu kaunteya, O son of Kunti, that taste of that water which quenches your thirst, that is me. So next time when you're drinking water, you can see Krishna there and you can thank Krishna. This is how Bhagavad Gita is practical. In fact, Prabhupada is so amazing, so magnanimous. He says, we invite those who are drunkards. They cannot give up drinking. We request them that when you're drinking wine and when you're tasting wine and that taste in that wine which gives you pleasure, remember that taste is Krishna. So we invite drunkards. Now this goes without saying. This is not to encourage all of us to go and taste wine to experience Krishna. It is for those who can't experience Krishna. Okay, for those who are stuck up with wine, to help them connect with Krishna. But those are already connected to Krishna, it's not that they should go back to wine. That goes without saying, of course. So Srila Prabhupada's, in the 10th chapter also, this is 7th chapter. The 10th chapter, Krishna gives so many examples, amazing. He gives one set of objects. Now 10th chapter of Gita, if you get time, please read. It's very interesting because in 10th chapter, Krishna gives example of one set of objects, okay? And then he says the best item in that set of objects. Krishna says, I am that. Like he says, okay, of the trees is one set of objects. He says, of the trees, I am the banyan tree. So when you see one set of objects called tree, and then you see the most grand, the banyan tree, this is Krishna. That's how he teaches us to see Krishna in nature. Like he says, okay, of all the lights, we all experience light in our life. Now cricket matches are going on. In Bombay on IPL matches, floodlights are on everywhere. Light, 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 light. Krishna says, of all the lights, I am sun. Can any light compare to sun? So Krishna, like that, is teaching us how to see him. He says, of the Devtas, I am Indra. Of Vedas, I am Sam Veda. Of all the priests, I am Brahaspati. Of all generals, I am Kartikeya. Of all bodies of water, I am ocean. Like that, he gives so many, 52 examples he gives to help us meditate on Krishna. We may say, but who is Kartikeya? Who is Indra? You cannot connect to this. If Krishna comes today, and if he has to speak Bhagavad Gita today, he will give different set of objects and examples. You'll say, of all smartphones, I'm iPhone. So when you see one set of objects and you see something grand, or you'll say, of all restaurants, I'm Govinda. Of all cricket players, I'm, I don't know, Sachin Tendulkar. Of all businessmen, I'm maybe Bill Gates, I don't know. Of all temples, I'm TOVP, So take a broad category, and the best example of that category is Krishna, to help us appreciate Krishna. For the ability to see and appreciate Krishna in our daily life is what Bhagavatam is teaching us through this chapter and section on universal form. So therefore, this is how we are encouraged to connect with Krishna. So this is the main message of these verses which we have discussed today. So now we have 1 week. When we come next time, you have enough meditation to see Krishna in your daily life. So I'll stop here. If there are any questions, we can take now. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Even those are online can ask. We can unmute and ask. Hare Krishna. We'll stop here. We'll meet again next Tuesday. Thank you very much. Yantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.